because today we're actually going to be tackling a topic I've been wanting to cover for quite some time on this show. We're getting Cityline real because we're going to talk about dealing with aging parents. It is surprising, it is shocking, it is an emotional journey, and we have got Dr. Karyn Gordon here, our relationship and career expert. We've got Mairlyn Smith here. Hi, honey. Thank you for doing this. So Mairlyn Smith is, of course, a professional home economist. You will know that if you watch the show. She's also a cookbook author, but you know what? She is a woman that has gone through losing her father and caring for her mother, caring for both of them. It has been such an emotional journey. We've tried to be here to support you for this, but there's so much has come up that I think no one could expect. It's just surprising. So let's start with a couple of stats so we can look at how big this issue is right now, and then we're going to hear Mairlyn's story.
So this is a huge topic, and if you haven't already experienced it, we are all about to experience it. So here's some of the interesting stats. 34 million caregivers. 34 million.
34 million.
34
so a lot of people.
A lot of people are caregiving to other people. 75% of those caregivers are female. So we're like, okay, we're not totally surprised about that one. 49 years old is the average age for the age of the caregiver.
Yeah.
And 69 years old is the average age for when people need to be taken care of.
So we want to sort of deal with when you start to notice that you need to step in there as the child of a parent who is aging. Mairlyn, for you, what were the alarm bells?
Well, you got to know that my dad and my mom were very independent people, and my dad, at 89, he had open heart surgery at 80, and did really, really well. And at 89, just before I turned 90, I go home to Vancouver like 3-4 times a year, and I started to notice that my dad was starting to be more tired and to fail. And so my brother and my sister, who live there and do, so much of it that I don't see, or, I'm not there, I just happened to say, are you noticing that, this is happening? And yeah, so we started to have the conversation, and my dad goes, I am dying in this house. Like, I am not going anywhere. I'm going out in a body bag, all right?
Yeah.
And so we had to respect that. But it was 5 years before my dad died that, we had that conversation, and maybe we should have started talking about it when they were 80, and because by the time my dad decided that it really was time, he died 4 months later at the new place, and it was to help my mother make that transition, but I noticed, like, there was food in the fridge that my dad he was my mom's caregiver, because my mother had fallen and was not able to walk very much anymore, and so there'd be stuff I'd like, it was gross. Like, I posted, like, this should be in the Smithsonian Institute because I don't know how old this mustard is, but, I think it came over in a boat from somewhere. Anyway, and so, so there was those kind of signs, and then the garden started to kind of go down the toilet, and he was getting really upset about the garden, and because it was bothering him that it wasn't up to standard. I mean, I learned how to be a gardener from my dad and my mom, so so all those little tick,
signs.
tick, tick, and then my mom started to kind of lose it. And my dad was covering for her, but looking back, we go, Mom's crazy, and she's been to see a psychiatrist since, and they've changed her meds, and my mom isn't crazy.
Is it dementia?
My mother was on the wrong prescriptions.
Oh.
And so at 91, I got my mom back from when I was a teenager, and that's amazing. So never give up on your, never give up just because they're acting nutty.
Viewers that say your job now as the child is to step in there. It's not to degrade them. It's to make sure they're on the right meds. It's to take photocopies of every single thing the doctor gives them. Do not treat them like children, but at the same token, you need to become their caregivers now.
Right.
And the difference between having a young baby and caring for that baby and caring for someone who's aged is that the person that is older does not have the hope and the potential or the future. It's a one-way trip. And so you have to preserve as much of their dignity as you possibly can.
And Tracy, that is so huge because my dad, when he said, I can't do this anymore, the fact that he like the indignities that he had to do and go through to just be here. And like he was dying of cancer, and it was like, you know, stop giving me stuff, like. And so because that's a huge decision.
Yes.
And my mom and them being married 69 years, like she lost her boyfriend, her husband, her lover,
her partner.
They held hands every day. So, you know, I think we focused on my dad. I'm sorry, I'm sort of skipping topics, but we focused on my dad so much we kind of forgot about my mom. Like, oh, you know, she's okay, she's okay. But my mother was, you know, when we needed, and you know, my brother and my sister, God bless them, they live in Vancouver, and they are there for them, you know, and I just sort of flew in, and that's another issue altogether, that, you know, the sibling who kind of comes in on the. They used to laugh. My mom and dad always said, Mairlyn, why don't you just ride your broom in here and, you know. And
Take over.
Just tell us anything, you know. And, oh, my God.
I'll tell you this as well. There's a lot of humor involved in
well, you have
grief.
to keep it.
Oh, my God.
You have to keep the humor.
And you've always been good about advising that. You can take a break.
Yes.
From the emotional heaviness of it all. You can take some time to be lighthearted. Your father was a joker, and so it's good that you could talk about death and be really open about it with him, because sometimes a parent needs that. So I just want to get to some tangible tips here from you, Dr. Karyn, just about what you might be looking for to know you need to step in, because they might not feel comfortable asking.
And I love the fact, in terms of Tracy, how you framed it, because you're right. It's the role of a caregiver. We're not the parent.
No.
Okay, we're not the parent, and it's really important that we're not kind of coming as a dictator.
Yes.
That we are coming in as a caregiver. Okay.
Yes.
So for all of us that are kind of thinking about what are the things I should be looking for, you actually said you said a number of them. Physically, number one. So physically, they're looking a little bit worn. They're looking a little bit tired, maybe even slower, maybe even a little bit depressed. 2, the home is looking a little bit cluttered. Stuff is not, you know, the fridge, like you said, you know, you can just tell that they're not managing the house. Dishes are left in the sink. You know, food is old in the fridge. 3, the house and the lawn maintenance is kind of like, you know, exactly what you said, the gardening. All of a sudden, because, you know, some people might say, I need help. Most people are not going to say that they need help. So we have to be kind of a little bit of the detective a little bit. The 4th one, this is really important, is forgetfulness. They forget conversations. They forget appointments. They forget medication. They forget with maybe, you know, something that they said that they were actually going to do. The 5th one is a loss of hobbies. Right, where all of a sudden things that they love to do, they're not doing it, and that's probably sometimes could be connected with depression as well.
Right.
And the last one is around the hygiene. Like, they're just not able to physically, emotionally take care of themselves.
Right.
So those are just kind of a few signs to kind of, you know, pay attention to in the sandwich generation. Saying, do I need to step in? Okay.
Yes.
So we just want to empower ourselves, you know, as you know, the signs to know what to do.
Later, we're going to talk about how you do the stepping in, because that is a very gentle,
it's a whole other,
very gentle balance.
Whole other topic.
Thank you, and thank you for being so open and honest with us, Mairlyn.
I'm hanging in there, right? I thought, whoa, okay.
It's a roller coaster.
This is why we had the Kleenex. They had the Kleenex for us.
Okay.
They had the Kleenex on the chair.
Yeah.
Like that was a sign.
We're all going to have it on mine.
And she sat on hers.